defying all hatred, be the love. Beyond toleration, be the love. Before pride and exaltation, be the love. Be the love. Be the hope.
You are listening to Be the Love, transcending through the shadows into a higher state of consciousness. We are souls on the journey, opening up the conversation to heal, awaken, and connect ourselves and the planet to a higher vibration of love frequency. It starts with you. Everything you need is within you. This is your time. I am Stacy Musial.
And I am Sam Fernandez, and we are your co-hosts at Be the Love podcast. Thank you for tuning in and ascending with us. Hop on board the Ascension Bus.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Be the Love, transcending through the shadows. I am Stacy Musial.
And I am Sam Fernandez.
And we are your co-hosts and souls on the journey. And if it feels safe for you, I'd like to take a moment and just invite you to get centered with us. I'd like to begin by inviting you to take a beautiful cleansing breath in through your nose and out of your mouth, releasing anything that is keeping you from being present. And take another deep breath in through your nose, breathing in calm, peaceful, loving energy, and breathing out anything you are ready to release in this moment. Take one more breath in through your nose, breathing in light and love for yourself, and breathing out the light and love and sending it to all of humanity. And remembering that you always have your breath to come back to. Today we have Nicolas David Ngan. Nicolas has worked for 25 years as a spiritual teacher. He is the co-founder and lead teacher at the Center for Conscious Ascension in Surrey, England, an organization that is dedicated to the development and implementation of cutting-edge spiritual technologies for the raising of human consciousness. Nicolas is a world leader in the soul contract reading work and #1 Amazon best-selling author of Your Soul Contract Decoded, Discovering the Spiritual Map of Your Life with Numerology. He also has several #1 ranked shows on Gaiam TV. He offers individual soul contract reading sessions to empower others to manifest their soul and divine purpose and deliver their own gifts of service to the world. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Nicolas.
Thanks for inviting me, Stacy and Sam. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We are too. And so let's just start off by briefly telling us a little bit about what led you to this work.
Well, ever since I can remember, as a probably as a young teenager, I always felt someone's not telling me the truth about what's going on in the world. There's something wrong with this world. Something's not quite right. And I started to search for that truth. And I couldn't find it at school or university or work even after university. There was something missing, and so I went in search of that. I realize now that I was searching for my soul purpose, that special thing I'm here to do. And I started a journey of traveling. I traveled all over Asia and Europe and the US, and I found on that journey a great experience, especially in Asia, of Buddhist culture, especially in Thailand and Tibet. I really connected to the spirituality there, and then I got drawn to study with Frank Alpa, the creator, founder of the soul contract work. He called it the spiritual numerology of Moses, and I went to a workshop called the Carousel of Growth in 1990 in Phoenix. I'd never been to America before. I was magnetized to it, and that's where I learned this work, which which we're talking about today. And I walked into this hotel conference room and I met 30 other people, and I recognized most of them. They seemed very familiar. I realized from past lives. So I'd met my spiritual family. Some I'm still in contact with 30 years later. So that's how it all began. And Frank gave me a reading, a soul contract reading. He converted my name into Hebrew sounds and took those Hebrew numbers and decoded them on a Star of David. And from there, he explained my entire life, my entire confusing, chaotic life, which I thought was a very bad car crash. Actually, there was some order to it, which was a relief to hear. And he said I was here to be a spiritual teacher. So 30 years on, I've managed to do that, managed to find that special thing. That's how it all started. It's sort of a summary of a lot of complex and intense experiences.
It sounds like such a beautiful journey, and just where it led you today. So tell us a little bit about what a soul contract is.
Well, the soul is eternal, and it comes into physical incarnation to have the intense and dense experience of being in a physical body and all the intense emotions of the earth plane to learn and grow. Although many of us will feel, I think I took on a bit too much this time. That's the comment from most people. And it looks at all its past lives and future lives, because time is a perceptual thing. It doesn't really exist in the high dimensions. It's actually all happening at once. And it decides from all that past and future experience, well, what will be optimal for me to learn in this particular lifetime I'm designing now? And it usually follows similar themes, but enhances certain components of it. And it picks a name which, by the law of attraction, will create that experience. And it chooses the parents, genetic structure, time zone, key relationships, key people we're here to meet. And then it at a specific astrological time and location, it incarnates a time of conception most of the time. And it's programming the energies of the soul contract into its physical body as it grows it into the DNA and into a substance called Karmic Matrix, which is a grey cobweb substance that is at the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional levels of our being. So all this energy radiates out to the matrix, to reality, and reality rearranges around it, and life has begun. Stuff happens, often repeating itself. Sometimes we wish it wouldn't repeat itself, but this is why. Because we're creating every moment of it. We're creating the hologram of our life. And the soul's creating a temporary avatar through our ego personality as a filter in which to experience it. So, and that personality avatar exists once each lifetime, and it's different every time. So all of us here have never actually had a past life. The soul has with other personalities. And the soul set in this place, this consciousness experiment to see, well, let's see what Stacy and Sam and Nicholas will do with this, because it doesn't know. If it did, it wouldn't do it. So it's up to us how, through our free will, we have a choice to be on the spiritual path or not. Yeah, how do we react in each moment? And that's what's fascinating to the soul. So it learns through each of our own actions. There is no fate. There's more general direction the soul wants you to go. How you get there is entirely up to you. So that's sort of an essence of what it is. And it wants to work through all the aspects in the contract over a lifetime, provided we can get the right tools and consciousness to recognize what's going on.
I love that. Because when I was reading your book, to be quite honest with you, at the beginning I was a little weary, like, okay, well, what about, your destiny, and you kind of choose your own path, but it's kind of saying that no, your soul kind of has everything laid out for you already. It's already figured out everything it wanted to learn. But I think that's just the way you just explained it, how yes, there is, the soul, and in past lives of the soul, it has already planned everything out, everything that it's wanted to learn. And then when it enters into our body, then it's up to us to allow kind of to do the steps that we need to do to get the soul kind of what it wants to learn. And I think that's just amazing. I mean, it makes me feel even more just in awe of my soul and of other souls. So, but you also mentioned too, so the beginning of the whole, soul contract starts, with the Star of David and with the ancient Hebrew language, like you mentioned in your book and you explained to us just a little bit ago. Can you talk a little bit more about the soul contract, how it is connected to the Star of David and to Hebrew language?
Yeah, we can do that. So happy to look at your name now, Sam. We can see what's.
Oh, we're doing that now. Okay.
Well, we need to show the Star of David too. So
Right.
so we can actually something to talk about here. Just going to share the screen again. So here we have, I'm going to get my little pen out here. Here we have Sam's birth name, which is very specifically chosen. And what we've done here is that this is software we use, which goes with the book. This is called soulcontractreader.com. So any viewers, if you want to generate your name, and if you've got the book, your soul contract decoder, this will help you do it automatically rather than manually. So what we do is we turn Sam's birth certificate name into the equivalent Hebrew sounds here. And we use 22 Hebrew sounds to match the 22 or 26 frequencies in the English alphabet. And these Hebrew numbers are extracted out of the Hebrew letters, because in Hebrew, numbers and letters are the same frequency. They're not allocated like conventional numerology to the Roman alphabet. They're inherent within it. And so these are the 22 pure frequencies of God that come out of the movement of Great Spirit or God, or all that is in the creation of this creation. It comes out of the geometry of the flower of life, for those of you into sacred geometry. So these 22 frequencies each have a meaning when we decode them on the Star of David. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these Hebrew frequencies or sounds of God, decode them there, then we're going to understand what is the attraction code, what is the core programming within Sam on his hard disk, which is creating every moment of his life. Okay. So this triangle, the Star of David, is a gateway of consciousness. And so there are two primary aspects. There's a physical triangle, and this is the creation of the ego personality especially, because we need to create that avatar in order to have a means of experiencing reality for the soul. So this is the physical triangle. So this is about learning to walk and talk, because Sam is a brand new personality. This time around, we all are. We have to learn to walk and talk, get conditioned responses, get up and running in life, education, relationships, careers, change of careers, etc. And so we spend the first 5 cycles of 7 years, first 35 years, primarily experiencing this, even though the spiritual triangle is still running, but not as strongly initially. And between the ages of 35 and 42, the midlife crisis or the dark night of the soul, or earlier nowadays, the spiritual triangle activates. So, Sam, when did you get interested in spirituality? When did you awaken and realize there's got to be a lot more to it than what I'm doing?
I would say in my teenage years, actually. That's when I started to get more into, meditation and, connection to the spiritual realm too. So.
Okay. So in your case, the spiritual triangle was activating a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so the soul's hoping that you'll activate this and that you'll form a good foundation, physical foundation to ground it upon. Mm. So this is beginning to get us more to the mission in life here. Okay. So within each of these triangles, these 3 aspects is karma, talents and goals in the physical, and the same in spiritual. And karma means a set of unresolved past life issues the soul brings in to create the negative context or the shadow you guys talk about, for us to experience feel the pain of it and to delve into it, because within that shadow pattern or that negative context lies the gifts of service for this life. So what we get is we get the opposite of what we truly desire in life initially. So we get very clear we don't like this, we want something else. It pushes us in the opposite direction. And the way we overcome it is that our latent physical talents, in this case, if it's a good match, infuse into this physical karma and that transmutes it. And this gradually, layer by layer, becomes the positive energy of this. It goes from the negative to the positive expression.
Mm.
And as these get stronger from being used, that then allows them to help us reach the physical goals, what excites us about life, what gets us out of bed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So the energy flows from karma to talents to goals in the physical outward orientation, but also simultaneously from spiritual karma to spiritual talents to spiritual goals. And this says an awful lot about the mission, that special thing I was talking about earlier, that in your case, you're searching for. All right? And if we consciously work on all these 6 outer aspects here, that helps us start to manifest the soul destiny or life purpose, that special thing we're looking for, which very few people actually get to. So over time, for each of these aspects, and it's time there, it's the percentage complete. If you consciously know what's going on, like I learnt in 1990, then I stopped wasting time doing things which didn't work and got on with the things which were really important. So 80% of effort went into 20% of the really important stuff. So then my life started to happen a lot better. Okay. And this, as you progressively work through these 6 outer aspects, more and more the soul destiny is gradually revealed. It's never arriving in one big biblical slab, because you probably couldn't handle it. You get a layer, and then once you got used to that, they give you another one because you made more progress. Mm-hmm. And after a while, you realize you travel an enormous distance and didn't even know it. I used to sit in a corporate glass box in the city in London. Now I work from home globally. So it's a vast shift, doing something I love doing, which I'm very lucky to be able to do that. Most people don't have that sort of good fortune. So the way we decode your numbers to find out, well, what each of these specifically mean, is we start going left to right. We put this 15 on the physical karma, the 1 down here, spiritual karma, the 13, and to this one, so we go round this Star of David, an expanding spiral. Do we use them all up? Then we add up the numbers. For example, this one here. The total is 21 out of these 3 numbers. And we have 22 frequencies of God channeled from the soul of Moses through Frank Alper, the founder of this work I mentioned earlier. He channeled for about 9 months in the 80s, what this meant. And so in this physical goal position, we have a 21. And because we have a double digit number, there's a single digit one here, so it simply goes 2 plus 1 is 3. So it becomes a 21-3. So there's a pure frequency of a 21, pure frequency of a 3. Plus in this life you have every experience, every blend along that continuum. Okay, that's why things change, because the soul feels, okay, we've done this one, let's go over here. Done that, let's go to the next one. That's why we have certain themes that run for a while, and suddenly things change. You're thinking, well, what happened there? Because the soul feels like, I've had enough of that, and it just adjusts what it wants you to focus on. So 21-3 goes there, and that has specific meaning. But in the case, say, of this one, physical karma, the total is 42, and that doesn't have any meaning because it's greater than 22. There's no channeling for that, so we reduce it to the first number below 22. 4 plus 2 equals 6. And because it's a single digit number, 6 plus nothing gives another 6. So we get a double number here. Okay. So this is called a combination number. It's because there's 2 of them. So that goes here. So you have one frequency. So it's saying The soul's saying, Sam, in physical karma, I want one frequency for you to work on. There's not the same range as this 21.3, which is why you may feel parts of your life are a bit rigid, Sam. Has that happened? Like certain things you can do and some things you can't get near?
Yeah, actually, quite a bit, yes.
Because you've got 6 out of the 7 numbers are double numbers.
Right.
So it's like you're in this thick glass tube, and you see goodies, but you can't touch them. You sort of slide right by, and you go, "Oh, please, can I have that?" But you can't.
Definitely,
so
yes.
You're headed somewhere else, you see. So we work out all these numbers accordingly. We place the physical numbers on the top half of the chart, spiritual on the bottom. Add them up to get 53 and 35, and then reduce them to the first number between 1 and 22. We get a double 8. That goes in the middle. That's your soul destiny. And these are just English numbers for Hebrew frequencies. So don't think because an 8's greater than a 6, it's better. It's nothing to do with it. It's just like a label. We can understand in English. And these channel symbols Frank brought through, these are like portals, which are going to help me answer the question you're going to ask me when you're ready.
Okay.
So basically, this is the core frequency that creates each moment of your life. And the soul's aiming to get through as much of this as possible in a lifetime. And it's probably pretty happy you're hearing what's happening now, because you're going to go a lot quicker once you understand what's going on.
Awesome. That's what I like to hear.
That's how we got the numbers and the squiggly symbol guys. So, what's your question, Sam? What's the big question you have about your life at this moment?
So a big question I have about my life at this moment, and it actually kind of goes into past lives as well. So I've had a past life regression done before, and I went through 3 past lives, and 2 out of the 3 past lives, my physical body died from impalement to the abdomen. So spear, sword, stuff like that. And ever since, in this life, ever since I was 10 years old, I've always had gastrointestinal issues. I started developing ulcers when I was 10. And it seems like that kind of no matter what I do, I'm still having those issues. So my question isn't, it's more of, is that something that, my soul wants to continue to learn, or if I, continue to move on to my soul path and, fulfill the lessons that, my soul wants me to learn, will it eventually, go away? Will it get lesser in, duration and effect? And I know it is something physical, but the reason why I asked that question is because when I've had my past life regressions, that was such an integral part in my life's ending as well. So it seems like it's kind of been with me for, with my soul for a while now.
Okay. So what I want to look at actually is your current name as well. See, you've asked that question because then the numbers may be in there as well. Okay. Yeah, here it is. I can see what's going on. Okay. So this is the birth name we looked at on the Star, David. This is your current name. Actually, is it just Sam? Were you called Sammy when you were younger, or Sam?
So yeah, I was called Sammy when I was younger. Sammy is my birth name. It's on my driver's license. It's my official name, but I do go by Sam. Just shorten it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll use this when you're younger then.
Okay.
So I'll just explain the difference between 2 names. This is like the cake of your life, this birth name, and this name you used, commonly used name from birth. It's like a layer of icing on the cake that infuses frequencies from right to left into this birth name. That it can have a positive, negative, or no effect, depending on the relative power, consciousness, and quality of the numbers. But what this tells me immediately is that you were probably in the military, learning the proper use of power here, in past lives. It's come through here. It's proper use of masculine power, which is probably why you've got speed, because it's probably in battle or something like that. That's what this is telling me here. It's here as well. So this is where it's come from, I would say. And I'd say you've had multiple lifetimes. This is the dragon energy here. But there's great power in you, Sam, which you're exploring. So I'd say you're an explorer of power over many lifetimes. Would that be true?
Yeah, I believe so. And it's amazing about the military thing too, because in one of my past lives, I was a knight for the King's Army, and
Yeah.
that's how I died, was in battle.
Yeah,
Wow.
this is about
Okay.
proper use of masculine power.
Hmm.
So people have this often are in the military. This one. So the key to clearing the ulcers and things, you've got to clear the past life trauma and past life feed coming in to this life. So the soul's brought it into the cellular memory and it's infused into your physical cellular memory. So you've got to clear that, and then that stuff will go away. Okay, that's what's causing it, I would say. And it's saying you're very sensitive in this life to energy as well.
Hmm.
So you've got this very sensitive side, but you've got this very powerful military side as well. So, and they probably don't go together so well. Makes it tricky here. Okay.
Hmm.
So I would say the key is to learn the proper use of masculine power to be of service and to be integrity as you take it out in the world. Okay, which is what a knight is. A knight is here to be of integrity and to serve. So it's more becoming the modern day knight, resolving the issues with disempowerment by the masculine, probably in childhood. What was your relationship like with your father?
It was good and sometimes not so good. He did encourage me to kind of, follow what I wanted to do, but as far as like a parental figure, he really wasn't. He really wasn't there in that context. My parents divorced when I was really young, um, and actually for the last handful of years of my father's life, we were pretty estranged from each other. So
Yeah, this is
yeah.
a loss of the father. This is about this is the divine masculine aspect of God here, not the one. So this is about the absence of the divine masculine, or the misuse of power by the divine masculine towards you. And the 10 is about bringing the balanced male female energies of God together in your consciousness. This often manifests as divorces, not all the time, of the parents. You have the split of the archetypes of Mother God, Father God, represented by your parents.
Mhm.
Your job is to reconnect with the masculine aspect, resolving the abandonment or whatever traumas are around that, plus bringing together the inner masculine and feminine within you and healing that connection to Mother, Father God. Then once you do that, plus the past life stuff, which will be an integral part of it, that should sort out the ulcers. I think.
Wow.
Because you're probably killed by a knight or something who was misusing power, or probably betrayed you in the case of the way this chart looks. Okay, so betrayal by the masculine, and abandonment by the masculine, and abuse by the masculine will be the key things to work on. That's what I'd say here. And more grounding, because these fives are very psychic, etheric. So which means you're very sensitive to energy. So it means your body's very sensitive as well. That's what I would say here. But you like a challenge, don't you, Sam? Saying this is the divine mother aspect. It's having big challenges to learn to get your energy moving to make you strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say this is a challenge that you have happening. Okay, because you got two of them here to make you very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How's all that sound so far?
It sounds, it sounds spot on. It is a lot to take in. I'll be honest with you. It is a lot to take in, but everything that you said, with the divine masculine kind of betraying me, when I did my past life regression and when I did get killed, it did feel like a betrayal. And with my father, there were quite a few times where, he let me down very harshly, so that definitely felt like a betrayal too. And honestly too, I do connect and resonate more with feminine energy. And one of the reasons is, I think, because I feel like masculine energy has betrayed me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's ooh, okay, that's it's spot on.
I'm
Yeah.
curious. Oh, go ahead.
Stacey, go on.
I was just going to ask, like, kind of going in line with that, being it as that past life, and you've, mentioned in your book as spiritual or karma being one of the greatest gifts that we have, is that part of that karma being maybe killed in a past life by that masculine energy to work out or work through that masculine energy in this life.
Yeah, my sense is that the knight who killed you was your father. Father's soul. That's what I'm getting as we talk about the past life files have opened up. And so you guys are still working it out again. Okay. So that's God having a bit of a joke. She's laughing. Can you get it? Can you get it this time? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try.
Yeah. So on that last comment you made of gravitating more to the feminine, this is about finding your masculine feminine balance. Yeah, this is what the 10 explores. So you move more towards the feminine. I'd say you need to move more towards the masculine to claim back your power. Okay, you need to move towards the polarity, which is the most scary, because that's the gift. That's the gift in this case, I would say. Because you're here to bring into balance, and you're here to use spiritual energies to be of service to others. So you mentioned the pre-interview discussion that you were in the corporate world. What was one of the reasons for leaving? Was it the morals of the way it worked, or what was it?
I would say yes, the morals of the way it worked. I was kind of tired of being treated like a number and feeling that I was just expendable. And when I would work my corporate jobs, my digestion intestinal issues would amplify greatly. And so even my body was even kind of screaming, this is not for you. And also too, I mean, I with being an empath, with being so sensitive to energy, there were so many people there that were either really fake or really just kind of lost and kind of this is where I am, kind of settling, so very just not very good energy in those places either. And I picked up on that all the time.
I just figured out another part of this. So there's a symbolic organ associated with the 14, which is about reflective being, trying to have intense relationships to learn about yourself. So the small intestine is symbolic of working out, is it true what I'm absorbing here? And I think your small intestine was saying definitely not true, which is why you got unwell, because you're having to malabsorb a lot of truth, a lot of energy which wasn't true to you. Okay, and that's part of it. I think that environment was highly toxic for you, because this is the 5 is very psychic, and this is the empathic part of you, and this is the part of you which can feel what is right and not right to absorb. So the environments you're in are very critical to your health. So it's good you left, otherwise you would have got really sick looking at this chart here.
Yeah, I did get really sick for a couple of weeks at one point. So yeah, but that's again completely spot on. when I feel the best is when I'm in nature.
Yeah.
So when I'm connected, when I'm out, when I'm breathing the fresh air, and I get all those good energies of the trees and the water and the animals and things. Yeah, that's when I definitely feel my best.
Yeah, this is about earth. You head into ground and connect to the earth,
Hmm.
come into your body, get clear emotional boundaries, relate to the place. So nature's the best for you, and also because of the sensitivity of these fives here. Okay.
Hmm.
I would say overall, you're really here to get very focused on expressing your creativity. Focus on one thing at a time and manifest it into physical form, one step at a time,
Hmm.
and not get distracted by lots of other ideas. That's what it's saying here. And this here is saying you're here to empower others from a place of integrity and to teach deep soul wisdom and cutting edge truth here in a grounded way that people can relate to. It's all about teaching and being grounded, empowering with an open heart and sharing knowledge. Do you love sharing new things you find, Sam?
Yeah, I get excited when I figure something out. I just want to show people.
Yeah, that's what this is about. So you're very much the empowering teacher from a place of integrity. That's what this chart is about. And helping people overcome their challenges as you're overcoming yours, and being very authentic, showing your true self here. Okay. So there's a facade here, then there's a true you. Healing the broken heart from the loss of the father, it's emotional presence. How does that sound?
Oh, that yeah. I've never really had anything explained to me in that way. So powerful yet so simple, and I could just feel like every cell in my body just screaming like, yes, yes, that's what we've been trying to tell you. you
Yeah.
know and every single thing you said is true completely true. um and there's a lot of things that you said that I have never expressed to anyone before. I barely have been able to kind of express it to myself. So the fact that this all just came from my birth name, how yeah, I every single thing. I can't believe you even got the how excited I get when I learn something new, and how I want to share it with other people. So yeah, um it's yeah, I'm still sorry. Yes, I'm still trying to process things too, but it's very, 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 very true for me. I mean, if yeah, just spot on. And I thank you so much for explaining all of that to me. And I thank my soul for, doing this for me.
Today is the day you find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. Thank you so much. Ooh.
Hey, thanks for stepping up for that.
Yeah, thank you. And it's I'm just, it's brought me um to maybe even understand what you were drawn to just doing this podcast too, just being able to share your knowledge and wisdom. And even though it's been, a little scary sometimes, and, maybe there's a little vulnerability with it, there's this, yeah, part that, feels really called to continue this journey. So it's,
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've like Nicholas, you completely, knocked it out of the park. Is I've always felt compelled to teach, always have felt compelled to teach. And I am, a musician. I've been a musician for a long time. And when somebody asks me, can you teach me how to play guitar? I get excited. I get excited to teach them what I know. But I do have my, ego consciousness that does step in and tells me, you sure people really want to know what you have to offer? I mean, do you really have a whole lot to offer, or are you just, kind of, is your vanity just coming into play, So the fact that no, I do have a lot to offer and I do love teaching, and this is why, it completely just validates how excited I get when people want to learn things from me, So, and how excited I get when I want to learn things from others.
Yeah, this is very much a learning, empowering lifetime. And this is like a library of knowledge. There's 3. Lots of shells of deep knowledge. And when you pull out this plug of unworthiness, which comes from what happened with your father, especially as you peel that out, what happens then is that you get all the knowledge coming out. Deep, passionate knowledge comes out to the world. And people will be drawn into this library to learn lots from you. Okay.
Definitely, yes.
It's beautiful.
Okay. So I think I probably know more about you than your mother now, Sam.
I would say yes. And Mom, if you're watching, sorry, but that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah. So we only just met. Okay.
Well, thank
So
you for
Stacy,
sharing that.
where would you like to take this now?
Sure, we can go into some other questions. I want to, and then maybe we can do my chart at the end, or if that feels good.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm wondering if you could just go into a little bit more is talking about karma and it being our greatest gift, and then how we can create that awareness around what that karma is, and maybe moving through some of those patterns to reach our highest potential, or that enlightenment that we're, many of us are seeking.
Yeah, the karma gets a bad rap. We think, oh my God, I've got to deal with my karma, and hard work. But karma is just a program that we take on when we arrive in our earth suits and our avatars. Where in the high dimensions we have no karma. It just sits in the Akashic records. Okay, all right, 25 times Sam's been a knight or played with this theme, so we're going to go and do it again because we're not quite done. So, because there's some stuff which needs to be resolved, and with his father who killed him last time, we need to resolve that, and we bring it in just to play a role. We're just playing a role. We're just being actors here, but it's very real. It seems very real to us initially. It's only there for learning. It's not here for punishment. And the only purpose is to get our attention, saying, yeah, I don't like that. That's very painful. So therefore, we do something about it. We didn't have pain. We didn't have stress. We just sit there and do nothing. So this is the reason it's there, to get our attention. So we do want to get, you do want to get better, Sam. You don't want to have this anymore. Okay. So it's just a negative context to get our attention and gives us everything we don't want. So we get clear what we do want. And then we actually work out, how do I sort this out? And it's about bringing our consciousness, turning our consciousness and feeling consciousness towards the pattern, however painful it is, and then layer by layer, feeling our way through that, and then cleaning it out through action and through healing and whatever other tools we have. And as we do that, the karma turns into our positive gift. In your case, Sam, into positive use of power, layer by layer, and getting into your masculine balance. And after a while, you realize that karma's gone. I don't have this abdominal stuff anymore. We're done. That day will come if you work on it. And then you've got the lessons, and because you had to struggle and work hard every day to get there, you value the lesson. It's not handed to you on a plate. If it's something handed to you easily, you don't take it seriously. But if you had to work, in your case, 40 odd years to work on this, then you're going to pay great attention when this thing's gone and you realize, I actually did it. You had the visceral experience of going from the negative expression of this disempowerment, layer by layer, day by day, step by step, to overcome it. Therefore, you will value it. And then you will use that learning out in the world in your teaching, that empowerment. So we always go from the negative polarity to the positive polarity. And that's all the soul wants. It just wants the experience, because it learns so much faster by being in these avatars, because the emotional intensity is so much greater. So there's a queue upstairs to come down here. You're thinking, oh my God, why did I jump the queue? But it's because you want to learn. This is actually what the whole thing's about. How do I learn to overcome these specific patterns, which are going to, in your case, you're learning your spark of the divine that forgot who it was. We all are. We're all God, parts of God. There's only one great soul here, just many different faces, that wants to have an experience, a very specific experience, in this case of coming into power. And then, so you, by going through your life, we think, oh, it's one little measly life out of 8 billion, what's the difference? But each little spark of the divine on earth is part of the Creator creating. It's not happening out there in the universe. We are the Creator creating through our lives. And so you enrich the Creator's knowledge and mainly experience of itself by going through the lessons we have in the soul contract. That's the whole point of life. It's just the Creator creating. And the Creator does it on billions of planets in this galaxy and in the universe. That's actually the reason we have planets. So sparks of the divine in many different forms. And NASA says there's 40 billion habitable planets in this galaxy alone, because they worked out there's water on all of them. So say 40 billion different civilizations experiencing God in a different way and going through their lessons, and that's how the Creator's learning. We're not an accident that came out of the ooze, primordial ooze. The whole place got created for us, so we could have this experience. It's the other way around. So that's what karma is about, overcoming all the lessons the Creator put in place, just so it can learn.
And so what are some of the best ways to, I guess, easily, because sometimes when I know with karma or with different things that come up in our lives, right, if we don't pay attention, what we resist persists. So it'll keep coming up as lessons until we finally say, oh, this is, I need to look at this, I need to pay attention. But it, can also be that energetic pattern. Are there certain tools that you recommend to help maybe more gently go through the clearing of karma?
Well, there's 3 reactions people can have when a karmic pattern comes up. Most people initially avoid it. If we get into watching Netflix or drinking or alcohol or drugs or sex or all the addictions we have, because the ego is a very pain averse. Once we get on the path, we realize, well, that's not working too well. So then we get to, okay, we start judging it. Oh, I have that unworthiness. That's really bad. But that makes it even stronger. But the third path is where we turn into it and bring feeling consciousness to it. And that's what the soul wants you to do. It wants you just to feel that karmic pattern, the pain of it, ever so briefly. And then as you gradually do that, you can start to transform it. So the best way is to turn into those patterns and do the opposite of what the ego wants you to do, which is actually take an action in the opposite direction. In your case, I don't know, coming more into the masculine, say Sam. But then applying healing modalities, we use a thing called divine healing, which is based on ask and you shall receive. It uses the higher self, which designed the contract, built your ego onion, many layers of the ego. What we do is we use the higher self to dismantle layer by layer in the right order the ego onion. So the karmic pattern dissolves gradually over time. So you bring feeling consciousness to it, then you ask the higher self through what we call command codes to actually dissolve the layers. So it will surgically remove them, and then you'll think afterwards, well, what was that about? I feel better. I can't even remember what we were clearing, but that's how it does. Because as long as you felt it, the soul goes, okay, we're done, they can go. Okay, so most people will fight their patterns, but if you engage with them, and if you clear enough of them, you reach a point of what we call soul integration, where the power of the soul, which is embodying through a clearer ego, is greater than the drag weight of the ego trying to keep you in the darkness of unconsciousness. And it's when life gets a lot more interesting, because the soul energy is now able to manifest in the reality, because it comes to and through a cleaner vessel Doesn't have to be totally clear, but enough clarity, and then that's when magic starts to happen. But most people have not even got to that point, which is why their lives are very challenging, because the ego is still in charge, but it's about surrendering, letting go to the power of what we call the spiritual signature, the flow of spirit, because that will guide you in each moment. If you follow that flow, which opens the heart the most to the next right action, life becomes pretty amazing, because spirit has a much greater perspective on what's going on. So that's how we actually overcome it, but that's a lifelong pursuit. That's what those Tibetan masters are doing.
That sounds...
trying to dissolve that ego onion and become more conscious.
The layers of the onion. That's one of my favorite.
There are a lot of them.
Yeah, one of my favorite analogies, because it is such a beautiful picture to notice, to be able to visualize. It is the layer. So maybe you think you went through this event in your life and you did the healing work, but then there's, something else might come up around that. And so we have to keep going through the layers until we finally get to maybe that healing. And so being able to feel what's there to heal it is what I'm hearing you say is really the key piece of that. And then,
And if it appears the same thing's happening, like the next girlfriend or boyfriend turns out to be the same as the previous one, don't think that, I haven't cleared the pattern. It's a finer layer of what's going on, and the same thing happened again. So as long as you keep clearing it, eventually the repeating event will stop. Then you realize, that hasn't happened for a few years. I must have worked it through. Hallelujah. But it happens eventually. So you got to look at what's coming at you. What are you attracting around you? And that tells you a lot about what the ego is up to.
And so you also mentioned soul integration and spiritual signature, and I'm wondering if you could go a little deeper into that. Explain maybe what the threshold of soul integration is and how it can lead to the spiritual signature.
Yeah, well, the ego is doing the purpose of the ego is to create a sense of separation when we're born from God. So we feel that there is no God, so we have our 3 core programs of feeling abandoned by God, we don't trust God, and we don't feel worthy to be loved by God. And all humans are made up of some unique combination of those 3 patterns. That's what the ego is based upon. It's core structure. So the idea here is that if you can clear enough of the ego, and it's no longer predominant driving your life through its beliefs and agendas and sabotages and things like that, when you clear enough of that, then the soul energy can embody, and you can, if enough of the ego is cleared, you can feel it. And you feel it by trying on in your heart, what is the next right action? So if your heart opens to it, then the action the heart opens most to when you try it on in the heart is what we call following the spiritual signature. There's one right action each moment. Most people are following the left brain, Western left brain, and doing all sorts of crazy things, and life is pretty miserable. But if you start to clear enough and you can hear the gentle feeling of the soul that uses body sensations to communicate with us, and you follow a different path, that path will be much more optimal. But it won't be something logical. It'll open, and you take one right action, it flows better, then you take the next one, and after a while you do enough of those, life becomes, you're on a completely different path, because you're flowing with spirit, and you flow with where the soul wants to go. That soul contract will, in its positive aspect, will start to manifest. Okay, but you've got to make the initial breakthrough, so enough of the ego is dismantled gracefully and with love, so you can feel what the soul wants to do. Because initially you won't feel it at all, because there's too many. The ego is very defended. It doesn't want spirit to come in, because as far as it's concerned, if God or spirit takes over, it's death for me. That's what it's most terrified of. Most people are driven by all the ego programs and not too happy at all.
Tries to resist what the spiritual side wants, because there's a lot of fear there. The ego is a lot based in fear.
Yeah, it's about 2 or 3 years old emotionally. Usually, it's scared of things that happened a long time ago. But as far as it's concerned, they're very real right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to protect us from things which happened a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. And so, how might this work help impact relationships? Just knowing about just our soul contracts and increase the connection we have with others.
Well, if we understand the soul contract of others in personal and love relationships, then we understand what drives them and how they're fundamentally hardwired, because each of us is wired in a unique way with a soul contract. And if we understand how the other person's wired, we can work with them a lot better, because some things they're just going to do no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be, because that's the way they're built, and they'll be at different levels of consciousness in the day depending on what's going on. So they won't realize they're doing some things. So then you can flow with them rather than work against them. Okay. And in love relationships, when you understand how someone works, truly works with the system, then you can decide, well, can I live with that? Okay. Those certain things, qualities that I'm prepared to live with, because in those sort of relationships, some things are very enhancing. They're great growth experiences. Relationships are the greatest growth experience, and you can see when you look at two birth charts interacting, what is the key dynamic? What's going to really enhance you? What's going to drive you mad? Okay, why do some things work or not work? No matter what we do, this doesn't work, and it'll be clear from what we call the relationship overlay. The frequencies are being exchanged. Why some things will never work out, why some things that work okay, and why some things work brilliantly. So you can see how compatible people are, and you can see what their lessons are, how they're serving each other. So it's very complex, but you can actually really get a good handle and stop doing the things which are going to aggravate someone because they can't help it. It's the way they're built. See, and help each other grow consciously. And that's in love relationships and families, and it's good with kids especially. So.
It sounds like finding that maybe just common threads that can help have conscious relationships thrive, but also to have a deeper understanding of how each other might be wired a little bit more, and so have a little bit more empathy within that relationship for those traits that you understand that are coming from more of a soul place, that karmic pattern.
In that case, we can support those we're in relationship with on their path, and when someone feels supported and when someone's not trying to work against them out of unconscious, because you don't know what's going on, I mean, someone's being supported in the area where they're vulnerable, where their big challenges are. That's enormously supportive, because we each see life completely differently based on the filters that come from the soul contract. There's a certain way of doing things simply because you've got certain things in the chart. So it basically means you function much more consciously and more dynamically and more compassionately with people.
What a beautiful way to create more conscious relationships in our world. If everyone could have their chart read and really understand their patterns and take conscious effort to work through those patterns to create more conscious relationships. And the individual, and the relationship with the self as well. Absolutely.
It takes a whole lifetime. If you work through your contract one lifetime, you're doing pretty good. Often we will come back many times with similar issues because, like Sam is doing, simply because it takes a long time to get through them. But with this knowledge, you can accelerate it enormously because you're working on the things which are important.
Right, and absolutely, like understanding what you need to work on, why you're working on it.
Yeah, you know what's worth working on personally, and you know what's worth working on in a relationship. With them, you can soon tell, well, this is never going to work, no matter what, because the dynamic is just so toxic or destructive. When some things work extremely well, and you can see why, and some are in the middle. Okay. So maybe we should navigate with consciousness what's happening, and try and create a better outcome, of learning outcome for everyone concerned.
Yeah, and I agree with Stacy too. This would this would benefit humanity greatly if we could all, instead of just asking ourselves why, why is this happening to me? Why is this pattern, with relationships? Why do I keep, being in a relationship with the same person, the same toxic people, ad nauseum to that, but to be able to have, this map and, oh, this is why. Oh, this is why, instead of just why this, why that, why the other thing. Now, for me, after having my soul contract read, now it's more of a, oh, this is why. Okay, this is why. This is why. So it's amazing how, I mean, maybe 20 minutes you did my soul contract, and how big of a step that was for me, because now I don't have to wonder why. Now my soul told me why.
Yep.
So now it's now the rest is up to me pretty much, So that's just, it's amazing. And yeah, just to think if we all had this type of information, just how much different we would be internally and externally. Yeah.
That's why I wrote the book, so I could reach a lot more people.
Yeah.
To live a more conscious life. It's sort of like driving a car from, I don't know, San Francisco to New York at night with the lights switched off and no sat nav. That's what most people are doing. You don't get very far and you crash a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is about switching on the lights, putting in a spiritual sat nav, saying, okay, actually we are going to go to New York, and staying on the road, staying in one piece.
Yeah.
So this is a vast difference. This is the whole point of this work, is to live more consciously and graciously.
Yeah. So with that, do we feel ready to move on to my soul contract? I want to be also conscious of your time.
Yeah, you can do that. So have a think about the question you want to ask about your life, Stacy.
Yeah, so my question is, I really want to learn more about maybe the karma that I'm working through, and what keeps me from maybe living my fullest potential. I always feel like I get to a certain point and then I am not moving forward, or I get really restless and feel like maybe I'm not on the right path and maybe I need to be doing something different, or so I'm always having lots of ideas and things I want to do, and adventure, and so it's really so I'm just kind of wanting to see that soul destiny piece, and maybe what keeps me from moving forward in the way that I envision.
Okay. So someone broke your heart, Stacy, when you were young. Who was that? This is what this is saying.
It's like, well, maybe my mom.
Yeah, this is your mom here.
Yeah, she did leave our family when I was about 14.
Yeah. So this is the loss, the absence of the divine feminine here in your current name. So this created the broken heart over here. So the lesson here is to heal the wound, the trauma, the loss of the mother, loss of divine mother ultimately, and to heal the wounded heart, and to dissolve the stone wall you put up towards the divine feminine that comes with this energy. And then to heal the wounded heart here. So what happens is that the inner child goes, or the 14-year-old inner child goes, she's rejected me, or whatever happened, and she puts up a facade here to protect herself. So here's the public facade, look at this, but I don't want you to look at the wounded part of me, because I don't want to be rejected again. I don't want to be seen as being bad. It may feel it's my fault that she left, or something like that. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, very accurate.
So healing that here will then allow you to heal the wounded inner child, and then she can drop the facade and show true feelings and thoughts in the world and be one person, be authentic. And what that will do is that will magnetize to you people and opportunities in life for this next stage of the mission. But you have to show yourself energetically by doing the healing first. At the moment, it's probably part of you still hiding away. Not completely, because we're doing the show, which means you're definitely trying to reach out as part of the healing process. So that's your karmic position here. And the other thing here is that there's an unwillingness to be loved. We saw that over here in Sam's chart. So because of the loss of the mother, that leads to a decision by the ego, I'm not worthy to be loved. So what is this about? Clearing out this big plug of unworthiness here. To love, to be loved, and then out of that will come more communication teaching when you're doing the show. This is you communicating deep wisdom to the world. And this is why you're both doing it, because of these threes. So this is you coming in, being worthy to be seen, which is what you're doing now, rather than hiding away. This is hiding away in isolation. This is hiding in the shell of this internal canal, communicating to the world, two groups of people, which is what the show is doing. Do you read a lot, Stacy? Watch a lot of shows? This is saying you absorb a lot of knowledge.
I have so many books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're here to absorb knowledge and expand it. Take it to a higher level and need to teach it in the world in your own form. 12 is about, that's the other karmic pattern. So you're definitely here to work with an open heart with people, like-minded people, as a teacher, in a very creative and grounded way, and to bring source energy down. This is a blending of mind, body, and soul. Are you very versatile, Stacy?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so this is saying you pretty much do anything that you're interested in. You'll figure it out and just do it. And so this is about accessing the multidimensional knowledge of the soul and integrating it and sharing it with a four in perfection to exactly what a group or an individual needs. Okay, so it's very much speaking the oral law of God here. And with these groups of people, this is a delivery mechanism for the people you draw to you. And the 11-2, 11 is about building your own unique structure of spiritual knowledge here and teaching it at a high level and having emotional resilience here to hold that knowledge and to support others in that knowledge. Okay. This is teaching almost at university level, very high level. How does that sound? That's what this is saying.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. When I got the download for Be the Love podcast, I just kept getting the message, I need to teach. And so then it led me to want to create this.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're building a structure of knowledge for people. And teachers all over this currently, teacher here, more absorbing expansion. As you heal the wounded heart with the mother, you'll share that divine feminine energy. So you're here to come into the positive quality of the divine feminine energy, the thing you lost. That's part of drawing people to you, so they'll just trust you and they'll feel nurtured and unconditionally loved by you. That's what this is saying. You see, you have another one down here. There's two of them. Soul destiny. It's very important. So healing that wound is the key. There's always a key wound we all have. So Sam's was what happened in the past with his father and this lifetime, which is a continuation. Yours is the loss of the mother and the broken heart. That's the key. You unlock the core wound and everything else unfolds, because that drives this and this. Okay, this is life and death. This is the death of the relationship with your mother. Okay, emotional death. Do you have any contact with her?
Yeah, we've actually just started communicating most recently a little bit more than we have in the past. So
How's that doing?
It's been very positive. I feel it's in a different level that it has been in the past, where it's more positive, more love. So
yeah, good. That's really important to heal that. It's the most important thing you can do in terms of mission.
Yeah, the last time I saw her was in October, and we had some really beautiful conversations, and my grandmother was there, and we had these healing, a moon ceremony, actually. It was a full or new moon, and we did some healing work together. So that was really powerful.
Yeah, and you and her at a soul level agreed to go through this experience. It's a very strong experience.
Mm.
Even though at a human level it can seem terrible, but you agreed to it. This is what your soul decided it needed. Needed to learn how to reconnect to the feminine. Here,
Sure.
in this case, came to the masculine for Sam. Okay, so it's not maliciously done, even though it can feel like it at a human level. It's there. That's actually why you were born, to go through this.
Mm.
There isn't another life you should have had. It's not some cosmic accident that happened. This was the whole point of being born,
Mm-hmm.
to resolve that. Even though the ego may not be happy about hearing that, but that's actually why you came.
Sure. Yeah, I've
Okay.
done a lot of healing work around that. So, I understand that she had her own things going on, and so it's never personal, right? It's always
Not personal at all. It's
yeah.
it's a soul thing that's all programmed in.
Mm-hmm.
And you're here to be a pioneer, a truth seeker. You both have this, actually. Okay. To bring cutting edge truth to the world and to serve others with integrity, with spiritual energy, and again, a very creative way. So these patterns repeat.
Mm.
So yeah, in summary, it's about teaching with the open, unconditionally loving heart of the divine feminine, service to others, bringing source energy in with an open heart in a grounded and creative way. It's all about teaching in groups. I mean, you're both basically here to do the same thing, really. Which is probably why you've agreed to meet up here.
Yeah, everything just really flowed together, how we came together to offer this podcast. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's planned. Well, this energy here, we were talking about how energies relate. This positive energy of using spiritual energy to serve others comes across as an overlay frequency into this chart here for talent gateway, because it's the negative expression here, which is to learn to serve. This is called a karmic lock. This is actually what pulled you together. Okay. And there's another one here. The 6 is about being focused and creative and getting on with things. This helps Sam focus and get on with his creative side. There's 2 of them here. So this is actually what drew you together. This is the mechanism of how you met up energetically here. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sounds very spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this one here is helping Sam feel more worthy about showing himself to the world. Here and here. It's another one. It's got a goal lock. And Sam's here to ground your pioneering ideas so that they become more accessible to people. He's here to help you speak the truth. There's 4 locks now. Oh, there's 3 locks actually. So this is why the connection is quite strong. Okay. So you guys program these in so that you could meet up at the right time. There's always a good right timing to this sort of thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel, Sam, that Stacey was going to turn up? Did you feel something was about to happen? This is about sensing new things coming out of the east. Or did she just turn up and it was sort of out of the blue, bit of a surprise?
I guess kind of. I mean, we met on Facebook, and I actually friended her. Our friend requested her. But when we started talking, it was, and hopefully Stacy doesn't correct me on this if I'm wrong, but it was like just an instant like flow, So that did kind of hit me a little hard, I guess you could say, out of left field or whatever, that someone that I've never really met, we have this kind of flow to us. And then when we met in person, and with the podcast and everything else since then, it has been just really flowy. But there are still times where it's very powerful. I get these very powerful unexpected like energy waves from her when we're talking, or when she's excited about something. I still get those waves. So yeah, it was quite like this. I never expected to be hosting a podcast. I mean, I only listen to a few podcasts, so to go from that to here in such a short amount of time, definitely unexpected.
Yeah, well, after a while, you start to have a sense something's going to turn up.
Mm.
So listen to that and unconsciously accept and embrace it. Because the more you feel worthy to receive it, the more of the good things. This is the flow of God's abundance, not just money, but ideas, concepts, resources, people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
The universe will say, Sam's accepted it, have some more. Okay, so always say yes and figure out what you're going to do with it later. Okay,
I'll always take some more.
yeah, always say yes. Okay,
About me, yeah, like he said, it was very like I don't know if I was tuned in at the time, but when he befriended me on Facebook, I normally, don't accept people that I don't really know, but I was like, there was something that felt compelled to just say yes, and then all of a sudden our conversation, it was flowy, but it went deep really fast. And that's the kind of connections that I really enjoy, is when I can go really deep. I crave that depth. And I think all of our conversations have been super in depth and just really, really flowy as well. And where there's just more in-depth conversations, which like I said, crave. So.
That's the three. It's symbolic of depth, of great emotional depth. It's bringing out things deep in you emotionally, which even you don't know are there. But it needs time to come out of this internal canal. You can feel something emerging. It might take a few hours or days, and something comes out, and something very profound emerges. So threes always seek out other threes, because it's a bit boring to a three if someone's superficial, not really getting to the real meat of it. That's why they get attracted to each other, because I'm going to get something really, really good here, something to get right into. That's what this is about.
Absolutely.
Plus these locks here help a lot, you see.
Yeah, that's very spot on. Definitely. I have a hard time with small talk. And
yeah, not of interest to either of you, I would say.
Nope, not even a little.
No.
Yeah.
My first question, what is the meaning of life, right? I started asking myself back in my teens about that. Like, what's my purpose? And
why am I here? Why am I here in this time, in this place?
Yeah. Well, you're here to serve, here to bring truth, here to bring knowledge. Both of you are here to empower others, especially in this case. Relative to the masculine, here to empower. I'd say for you, Stacy, here to empower the feminine woman to come back into their power. What I would say here.
That sounds about accurate.
Does that sound okay?
Yes, absolutely. That sounds just so spot on in so many things, just things that I've been working on too for many years. And so just to have that resonate and validated, it's just things that intuitively that I've known and have felt, but have never maybe not known that was maybe the path I needed to continue on healing. So that makes a lot of sense.
I would say for you want to consider goddess work, working with women, shamanic type work, to actually get initiated into the mature feminine and heal the wound with the mother at a fundamental, deep, pre-verbal level. That's what I would say is probably something to look at.
So shamanic work.
Shamanic goddess type work is probably right up your street, I'd say.
That's very interesting. I have an opportunity that I'm really working toward going to Belize. I met a shaman there, and she's a woman shaman, which is and so she invited me to go and study with her for a while. So
there you go.
Yeah, so it's something I've been really called to do. That's really interesting. And of course, I've been called to the goddesses of like Durga the Hindi goddesses. So that's something I've been working with, the goddess energies. So yeah.
Same for you, Sam. I'd say working with shamanic, masculine warrior type energy to explore that other half of you.
Yeah.
Feel that bond with Father, whatever's left of it.
I completely agree with that too. And actually, I have felt like that I've been called to do some type of shamanic work, and yeah, I just the more I'm, processing everything, and the more I'm kind of absorbing everything, the more I'm realizing how much I do need to, embrace and learn, the masculine energies. So with, like you said, with the shamanic practices, and when I think of, a shaman, I do think of a male, even though I know, there's so many wonderful female shamans out there, but I am drawn more to the male ones for kind of a lot of spiritual growth, to be honest with you. I mean, um, behind me I have a picture of Shiva and Shakti, both, and they were both male, male Hindu gods, and I'm very drawn to them. I've actually did have a vision, and Shiva actually came into my vision. And one of my guardian angels is Archangel Michael, so it is that masculine energy that it seems like it's kind of calling me to it,
Yeah, you both need this bodily transmission to bypass the too clever Western left brain of what it is to be in the pure integrated masculine and the feminine. So your body gets it. Not about knowing it, it's about becoming it. That's the most powerful learning, is bodily transmission. And that will do an enormous amount of healing. So it's very shamanic, very alchemical. You sort of shift you from one state to another. So you don't learn how to become it, you just become it. That's what I'd be looking for, something like that.
Okay.
So I think it's more about initiation into that. And that's something we lack in the West. Initiation, especially when we're at puberty, into the true nature of what we're meant to be as initiated men and women. And that's what I see in the charts there. I think that would be very transformative. They would break through very quickly. You're asking about healing techniques, Stacey, that'll break through very quickly, because when you have that transmission there, you can do nothing about it, because you're just going to become it.
I love that. Is that something you offer at the Center for Conscious Ascension?
I used to do a lot of men's work, but there are men's groups. I would say for you, Sam, look up the Mankind Project. It's about Western version of tribal initiation. For you, Stacey, there's an organization. Where are you, Stacey, actually?
Colorado.
Okay. Well, there's an organization called COR.com. They do women's work especially, and they're based in Northern California, I think Colorado, and in Florida. So I look at the goddess workshops. Fastest way to really break through for the sort of issues in the chart, because it's about reconnecting to divine masculine, reconnecting to divine feminine, heal the wounds with the mother and the father. That's the beginning to a real deep fundamental change.
That's really beautiful. I'm curious too, is that something you see with a lot of people with their charts, and maybe the broken masculine and feminine energies, or?
Specifically in yours, the 10-1 is the broken masculine, 13-4 is the broken feminine. It's disconnect. This is specifically what you guys have. Not everyone has that though.
I was just curious, because of the energies, the divine feminine has been broken for a long time, as well as the masculine. So,
well, we're very dysfunctional, dissonant civilization. It's just the way this particular matrix is built. and which is why it does all the crazy things it does, especially at the moment.
Mhm.
So in healing that within us, that's how we change the outer world, because the outer world is just a mirror for the inner world. But
Right.
the consensus is actually working through. So we've got to bring consciousness to all things in us which are mirrored to us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So as we are working on our divine masculine, divine feminine on the inside, we are healing, and that will shift the outer world as more and more people do this healing work.
Yeah, yeah. And then as we come into our own natural divine masculine and feminine acting in integrity, enough people do that, then the outer world starts operating in integrity and in love, all things which it's not doing at the moment. It's just a mirror for us collectively, as 8 billion souls having this points or sparks of the divine, having a particularly unique and common experience in the world. That's what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing just your experience and wisdom, and doing these readings for us. It's really helpful I know for me and Sam, and then hopefully others will be really called to the work as, they're ready. But tell our listeners a little bit maybe about how they can find you and what you're currently working on right now.
If you want to get a taste for the soul contract reading work, the most accessible initial way is the book Your Soul Contract Decoded. And you can find out about it on yoursoulcontractdecoded.com. About the book, and it's part of a portal on my website. And the website is Center for Conscious Ascension, .net. Okay, that's the website. They're the two main resources, really. And there is software you saw in action called soulcontractreader.com. So that was built to go with the book. So you can read the book, generate your chart using the software, and find out a lot about yourself, just like we've been discussing tonight. And then find out, well, here's what's going on. And the book will also tell you what you can do about it. There's lots of recommendations for moving forward. And my main focus at the moment is training practitioners in the soul contract reading work and in the divine healing work we discussed, and in a body work called light body integration, which is about embodying divinity so it can express through us as our ego onion dissolves. I mainly teach practitioners. I just do a few soul contract readings a week, but most of the time it's spent teaching. And then it's much more effective. We teach on Zoom globally. We teach about a workshop a month in those 3 different modalities. They're all on the website. You can find out about that.
Yeah. And we'll go ahead and post the links on the show notes so people can easily access that as well. And thank you so much again for being here, Nicolas. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for listening to our show. Stay tuned for more episodes being released on Mondays at 5:55 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you like the show, share the love by sharing it with your friends. And if you want to support the work that we're doing, please consider making a donation to our show by visiting our Patreon website at patreon.com/Be the Love Podcast. And until next time, love yourself, love each other, and love the world. We love you guys.
Love you guys. Take care. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
So this is Nicolas David Ngan. You've been listening to the Be the Love podcast. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Heather Lynn, for providing us with your beautiful song to accompany our show, Be the Love. If you would like to learn more about Heather Lynn and her music, please visit her website at heatherlynnmusic.com. And thank you, Chrissy Grace at Leading Edge Productions for the beautiful design and graphics.
And thank you for tuning in. And until next time, we are souls on the journey. And thank you for hopping on the Ascension bus with us. And remember, there is always a seat for you.